everybody, it's Brandon from Yamaha Guitars, and I am joined today by the wonderful Yvette Young. Thank you for being here, Yvette.
It's a pleasure and honor.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. And today we're going to be talking about the second generation of Yamaha's TransAcoustic guitars. These have been out since 2016 in the first generation, and just recently the second gen came out with a whole lot of updates and with some new body sizes and colors as well. So which model do you have right there, Yvette?
I have the TAS 3C.
And I've got the TAG 3C. So for starters, the main difference between these two guitars is the size. The guitar that I have, the TAG, is a dreadnought size, larger body size, and the TAS is a smaller concert-sized body. From the artist perspective, what is it like playing a dreadnought versus a concert guitar?
I find the dreadnought bodies to be more resonant. Obviously, both guitars are extremely convenient. I think for songwriters and stuff, it's just really great to have your grab-and-go guitar with built-in effects. But I find the smaller body to be even more convenient just because it's so compact. Tonally, I think both are great. I don't really notice that, a lack of resonance or anything from this one.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. The larger body guitars are naturally going to have some more volume to them. So even with no effects on, you can really... you can really dig into a big guitar and it doesn't collapse in on itself. It stays resonant, stays loud and open. But with a small body guitar, there's obviously the travel functionality of it. Yeah. It's smaller and easier to hold and carry around.
Definitely.
But also I feel like small body guitars for finger picking, they're a little more sensitive. Do you feel the same thing?
I find that, yeah, definitely. I depend a lot on just kind of finger picking for nuance and tone and texture. And yeah, just to have something be more dynamic is really useful to me.
Yeah, there's something to that of because it's a smaller body, you don't have to put as much into it to get the wood going.
Yeah.
On a bigger guitar, you might have to dig in a little harder to get that wood sort of vibrating. So yeah, these guitars, the TAS in the concert size and the TAG in the dreadnought size, we also see two different colors here. You've got the natural top right there, and then I've got this beautiful sandburst finish. So both of these guitars come in both finishes as well. And I think you now have one of each, right? You've got this one and...
I have that exact one, and then I have this one now in natural.
Yeah. Let's talk about TransAcoustic technology. So an overview... TransAcoustic tech, as I mentioned, came out in 2016 for Yamaha guitars, but it actually started off in our piano department. The piano department wanted to give players the feeling of being basically in a concert hall, even though they're just in their living room or wherever they may be with the piano. And so they started putting actuators, these little puck devices, kind of like the back of a speaker, onto the wood of the instrument and figured out that they could vibrate the wood that way to create things like reverb, for example. In 2016, we started putting these on guitars, and just recently with TAG3 and TAS3C, a whole new slew of effects and use cases have come about with that technology. So these guitars have two actuators inside of them. There's one on the top wood and there's one on the back wood. And if you peek inside there, you can actually see one of the pucks kind of straight down from where the bridge is. That puck takes a signal from an undersaddle pickup, like a piezo pickup, and it sends it through that little device and adds effects like reverb or chorus, or as we'll see today, some newer things like delay, looping, and even some Bluetooth playback. So let's check out some different reverb sounds. We've pulled up the TAG remote apps on our phones here. And do you want to give us a sample of what you have dialed in now and then mess with it a little bit?
Yeah, I usually use reverb very subtly. To me, it makes stuff sound very distant and melancholic. Sorry if I'm describing stuff using abstract words. To me, that's what music is.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful. And just as a reference, could you show us the same little bit or a similar bit with the reverb all the way off?
Yeah.
Even on the mix knob of the guitar, if we just hear dry guitar.
Totally. So, when you just introduce just even a little bit, actually I'm going to have it pretty dramatic here, but I have the decay low right now. if you wanted to, you could also have the mix. Like, I love having a mix option because sometimes you want the effect like super wet, right? You want the effect to be prominent, but sometimes you want it to be more of like a glimmer behind the actual guitar tone. So being able to have it almost like a parallel thing is like really useful.
Yeah.
I want to dial in like a really like dramatic reverb. One thing when I was messing around with the decay and the mix and stuff, I discovered that like, you know, you can get some cool feedback with it. I don't know if it's going to do it right now because of the nature of feedback, but let's see. I love that it like kind of blooms out and goes back in.
Yeah.
I kind of like that volatility. Sometimes it feels like you're right on the edge of it, like doing something. So dynamically, that's really fun to play with.
And what's cool is like, because it's happening in real time, you're not adding a reverb like in post. You're interacting with the reverb while you're playing. So when you hear that bloom pop up, you can lean into it and like try to get some more feedback before you move to the next thing.
I think that's what makes playing with something like this really appealing. Live, I mean, maybe it's scary because it's to some extent like volatile and unpredictable, but like I think part of what makes live shows really interesting is it can have moments that differ from what you recorded, and something like, oh, I really actually liked the way it fed back, so I'm going to hold on to that silence a little bit longer and really let that be the star of the show for that second. I think that's really fun.
Yeah, happy accidents.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll show the same thing. So since you showed the hall reverb just now, pretty long, like 12-second decay, I will do a different one. This is the room reverb with a super short decay, like a 0.6-second decay. I'll show you the dry guitar signal. Totally dry. And then with that short room reverb, if I turn that up, suddenly you're like in a different space. That room reverb, I think, really works well for kind of like higher energy music. So something where you don't necessarily want this really long decay. You can get a longer room. For example, this is a 3-second room, which now starts to sound kind of like almost a hall. So with a longer reverb like that, I would turn the mix down a bit. And now it's just a touch of it in there. I really like that room reverb for like sharper chords, maybe even like country music a little bit. And then that really long, lush reverb that you were using is so great for that beautiful melodic style of playing.
Yeah. I would even use it like sometimes when I'm recording stuff, like if I want something to recede in the mix, like I would probably record it with like a more dramatic reverb to like when you played that, it sounded like when I closed my eyes, it sounded like spatially you were in like a pipe or something.
Yeah.
You know? So I just think having different ambiances and like it makes for a really interesting, you know, spatial mix of sounds.
So from, again, the artist perspective, what is it like having reverb built right into your guitar? How does that change your workflow and your creativity?
I think it ruins any other guitar for me, acoustic guitar for me, just because, you know, you kind of get used to sounding so full and having like all this tonal support, for lack of better word. It's really great. Like I depend so much on the tone of something to derive inspiration. Like, I don't know if you've ever sat down with an instrument and you wanted to write, but then maybe it just felt like you were fighting the instrument the whole time. It feels wrong or it sounds like off. And so you just like any wind that you have in you to write is just disappears. It vanishes. And I feel like this does the opposite for me. When I sit down, especially when I dial in something with like something that fills in all that space, it kind of really makes me write a little bit differently. My tone definitely informs what sorts of melodies and what sorts of arrangements come out. I feel like it can be a really great mood setter. Like for me, effects are kind of like colors. And if you start with a color, what you paint over that color can be so different than if you were just confronted with like a white canvas,
right,
you know?
Right.
So yeah, I've had so much fun writing. I think I've written like 3 songs just because of the built-in chorus on this. So.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. I've had the exact same experience. Like sometimes the sound you hear in your head has an effect on it.
Totally.
And when the barrier of entry is so high, like, okay, for me to get that idea out, I have to go set up a pedal board, plug it in, set up an amp, plug it in, plug my guitar into all of that, set the volume. By the time I do all that, like the idea's gone, or I've just kind of lost the drive.
I think
passion.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, because I was just talking to a bunch of producers, and for all of us, like in order to create an environment where we have consistent workflow, like everything needs to be streamlined. And as soon as you have a point of contention where there's like technical difficulties, it's just such a creative vibe kill. So all of us have systems in which all we need to do is flip on a switch or like press a button and everything's already mic'd up and set up. And, you know, I feel like if you have to set up a whole pedal board just to get a couple effects, I know this sounds really spoiled and privileged, but it's like annoying, you know, like you just want to write, you just want to get in there already and get your melody out. So to be able to have that just at, you know, the press of a button, and I feel the design is so simple. Like it's just 4 knobs, everything's labeled really well, no confusion, no tech issues. It's just immediately really inspiring right from the get-go.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, so many studios now have that thing of like the synth wall where they're all on all the time. You just go press a key and it's on.
Totally.
This kind of feels like the equivalent of that definitely for acoustic guitar. No processing that you really need to go through. And it is just one button. There's that power button in the center here.
Yeah.
Turn it on, turn up whichever knob you want, and now you have a sound.
Yeah, and I actually enjoy that you don't have to change out a battery. For me, that's also annoying. I know I'm just like everything is like first world problems, right? But like to just have the ability to charge it overnight, or you know, if I'm riding and I want to take a break or something, just quickly charge it. It's so easy. Right.
Yeah, I've started keeping mine on a stand next to my desk, and I just have the charger kind of like draped over the cradle of the stand.
Yeah.
Because it has like a little headstock cradle. So I just drape it over, and every time I put the guitar in, I just pop the charger in, and it's magnetic too, so it just kind of like puts itself in place.
Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, you know, we should also mention there's not just one reverb sound. We've been showing the default reverb sound, but there's a companion app for these guitars called TAG Remote. Totally free app. And within that app, you can choose between hall, room, and plate reverbs. You can mess with the decay times. You can mess with the EQ, even pre-delay. So having that level of control, what kind of difference does that make for you over just having one stock reverb?
It's great. Like, I feel like there's almost like, for me in my mind, again, as like a musician that tours and then also works in the studio, there's 2 levels of effects, right? There's effects that are great for live. You want that to be just like instant gratification. You don't want to have to menu dive. You don't want to have to go tweak stuff. And then you have stuff in the studio where to get granular with it is a really great thing, because you want to be able to tweak settings and get it really customized to where you want it. So the way I like to use this is I just played a show with this a while back, and at home I just like used the app to dial in all the settings I want, and I saved it. And then when I went to the show, everything was already saved, so I didn't have to go dial in anything. So you can use both applications, which is great.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of pedal boards that we mentioned earlier, sometimes I'll show up to a gig and my pedal board, like in transit, all the knobs got moved. And I show up and I'm like, oh no, I have to redo this whole thing.
Or TSA goes in there and like Skrillexes it.
Like, what is this? With this, your settings stay. So you could set, like you said, you could go in that app, set up your reverb how you like it, turn the guitar completely off, and then a month later turn it on and your reverb is still there.
Yes.
You don't have to go resetting anything. The memory being built into this for that is super essential for me.
Yeah. And having the loop save banks too on the apps is like a game changer as well. I haven't personally used it in a live set, but I can just imagine so many applications for it, you know, like if you need to play with a backing track or something, just having it saved in there is really great. I think like, you know, whoever developed this just really had in mind like how can you capture that moment of creativity and how can you like hold on to it and not lose it, you know?
Yes. And you hit the nail on the head. Like the Yamaha development team, having spoken to them about the process of making these, the word they kept coming back to was creativity. They always had creators in mind. This is a creative guitar for a creative person. So how can we just remove all barrier to creativity? And we were talking before filming this about voice memos and how we'll go on our phones and like record, you know, little ideas throughout the day and stuff. For me, the ability to save a loop in one of those 10 slots that you mentioned on the app is kind of like having even voice memos built straight into the guitar.
Totally.
I'll record an idea, save it on slot number 1, and then later in the day, if I have a different idea, I just move to slot number 2.
Totally.
And a week from now, I can go back and listen like, oh, idea number 1 was really cool. I should finish that.
Yeah.
So yeah, really awesome to have all that flexibility. We've talked about reverb for a while. I think we should move on to chorus because that's another thing I love about this guitar. The knob to the right is a chorus mix knob. And similar thing, I mean, totally dry. That's my guitar sound. And if I crank that chorus all the way to 100% mix, suddenly it starts to almost sound like a 12 string a little bit. Has this shimmer to it. As an artist, how do you use the chorus on this guitar?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, all the time.
I love chorus. I mean, like even like subtly in the mix, I feel like I use it a lot for like widening. Like any sort of modulation is great for just like widening your sound, right? Getting like more of like a stereo profile. But then, you know, I use it subtly for just kind of like like has like you mentioned the 12 string kind of sound, but then like really dramatic, like. You know, it's just, you're the cure.
I feel like you put me straight into the 1980s with that.
I love it. So for me, I'm all about dramatic chorus sounds.
Yeah, I think they totally transform a mix and a part. And it's interesting because with reverb, we were talking about space, kind of like front to back in a mix. With chorus, I feel like it's what you were saying about width. So instead of front to back, now we're thinking about like center versus wide.
Yes.
And when you really crank that chorus, it gets so wide. I mean, this is the default double D tune setting. So there are 2 types of choruses on the app. There's double D tune and there's a 4-voice chorus. So the double D tune chorus takes your regular signal and it creates 2 other signals, one of which is above and one of which is below. And you have full control over how many cents above or below each of those voices sits. So at its very lowest setting, it's 0 cents. There's actually no effect. But if I put that up to the default, which is 5 above and 5 below, I would get a sound like this, which is pretty nice. If I crank it all the way to 20 cents up and 20 cents down, it starts to get pretty wild. That's like a real sort of intense chorus effect. And I find that sound works really well for like soloistic playing. But the other chorus that's in here is the 4-voice chorus. The way that this works is there are 4 additional voices, like the name suggests, but you actually have control over how many of those voices are active. And then you have control over the depth, the speed, and the tonal center of the chorus. So kind of more like a traditional chorus pedal that a guitar player might see, your depth and your speed. How do you like to dial in the 4-voice chorus? Do you have any examples with that?
Yeah, so I have max number of voices. We love many voices. I upped the tone a little bit just to get a little more sparkle. Speed, I kept the same. I like personally, I really like a slower chorus for just, you know, have it sound less seasicky.
Right.
And then I up the depth a lot, actually. I like a very pronounced chorus. So yeah, it sounds a little like
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that high depth, low speed thing. It's exactly what you're saying. I don't feel seasick, but it feels so wide. And sometimes if you up the speed, it can kind of bring it back to center a little bit and make it more wacky.
Yeah, totally.
And there's definitely a time and a place for that. There's a way to use that sound. Cool. So speaking of that higher speed type of chorus sound, you've dialed one in here. What have you got going and how do you use it?
to me, it sounds kind of like haunted and like seasicky. So I feel like I would use, it's definitely like a very distinct flavor. So I feel like, you know, you can kind of use it to sound like warbly and nostalgic. Like, I might want to even have more depth.
Wow. And that's a pretty out there sound, right?
Yes.
So what is it like having that sound come out of your acoustic guitar, just like right in your hands?
It's inspiring. It's not like a negative thing, but I think sometimes the connotation of like an acoustic guitar, a singer-songwriter, it makes for like a certain type of music, which is maybe like, you know, like coffee shop rock and stuff. And I think sometimes it can lock you into like a certain sound. Right. And there's nothing wrong inherently with coffee shop rock. But if you're wanting some quirkier tones to like really generate ideas, like that thing, you know, I wouldn't write like a full song with that, but I would, you know, you know, like just those, like just that little moment right there. If you just loop it, like, you know, like just something like that. I would like want to loop that and then like put a beat behind it. And that's already like an idea right there. And it doesn't sound like acoustic. Someone's like, how'd you get that sound?
Right. It sounds like a fully processed electric instrument.
Yeah.
And also when you started playing more rhythmically with that sound, I feel like it fits it so perfectly.
Yeah.
Like the longer, beautiful stuff is maybe better for that shorter speed, sort of more subtle chorus. But then this sound works so well for that chordal rhythmic thing.
Yeah.
Sweet. And you were mentioning before that you like to pair the chorus with delay, which is another feature that we haven't talked about yet. So you've now dialed up a chorus sound that you like plus delay. Why don't you give us a little sample of that?
Yeah. So before I played that riff and with this like basic chorus sounds, to really take it even more to like 80s tone, I feel like a dramatic. What I love about delay is it's kind of like having a built-in click.
Right.
Keeps you on track. You know, it's just kind of like, is a trail that goes behind you? You feel like a rainbow or something.
Yeah. I love that visual. Like there's a rainbow following you while you play.
Yeah.
It just fully changes the space that you're in, and the depth that just added to your playing was pretty awesome. That's really cool to hear. And the other thing with the tap tempo, so I noticed that you started doing this up top. What are you doing when you're tapping that knob?
Oh, right. This is the tap tempo. When I'm tapping this knob, I'm just setting the rate of the delay so that it goes at the exact tempo I want. And like I said earlier, having a delay is kind of like having a built-in click system for you to play to. Keeps me on track.
Yeah.
Which is especially, I mean, later we'll discuss it, but that looper, I never loop without a delay on because I feel like hearing the repeat kind of just helps me stay locked on a grid and helps me create a really tight loop.
Yes, I have the exact same feeling about it. Like I've actually used before the delay on here as a metronome where I've looped like, here, let me turn
you can
up.
like tap on the body.
Yeah. So if you do like a 1, 2, 3, 4 for the tap tempo, and then. Yeah. You could literally loop that and then start playing like scales over it if you wanted to practice. But in a musical context, when you're playing chords and you hear those trails at that consistent tempo, it sort of just keeps everything like in check. It's giving you your drums basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, for songwriters, it's just so useful to have anything accompanying you, even if it's yourself.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's like a little, it's a ghost of yourself accompanying you in your song.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And which delay setting are you using right now?
Let's see. I am on the analog delay. Okay. Just have a pretty, feedbacks like maybe that like 30%, something like that.
Cool.
So I like dramatic feedback too. You can start you can start getting it to self-oscillate and things like that too.
Right. Yeah, lots of cool delay tricks that you can play. And since you mentioned that you were on the analog delay, there are two delay sounds in here. There's analog and simple. That analog delay works so well for that warm vintage style of delay.
Yeah.
It does have a 2-band EQ for bass and treble. So if you want to, I can go to analog delay here. And if I crank the bass and then take the treble all the way down, suddenly my delays are all going to be pretty dark.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Or let's go slower so you can really hear it. It's much darker than my regular signal. And if I do the reverse, bass at 0, treble at 100, now all my delays are much brighter. And by default, they're both somewhere around the middle. And so it's sort of like a regular representation of my guitar tone. So the analog is great for that. And then the simple delay is a bit more of like a modern, crisp, hi-fi kind of thing. And it replaces the bass and treble EQ knobs with damping knobs. But same general concept. There's low damping and high damping. So you can mess with the tone of the delay, not just the timing of the delay. So that's the delay. There's another feature that's major that we've alluded to a couple of times, but we haven't really talked about it yet. The looper.
Yeah.
There's looping built into the guitar. So before I give sort of an overview of how to use it, just creatively, what does it do for you to have a looper built into your acoustic guitar?
Sometimes, like, I want to envision a counterpart to, like, go over a part, but then, you know, I don't have access to a DAW or something. So it's just kind of great to, well, from a writing perspective, to be able to envision, you know, a part that would go on top of something. So it's nice to have a vamp going on underneath, and then to be able to come up with, like, I most of the time what I'm doing is, you know, you can have a sequence of notes and it works, but I think you don't want just something that works. You want, like, the best possible choice, right? That's, I think, the goal of a good songwriting is to choose the best possible option. So I'm auditioning phrasing, I'm auditioning, you know, the sequence of notes, like how I want to place them and where I want to put pauses. And having a loop, I can just go through different iterations of how I want to phrase something. And then I can even loop that and, like, listen to that and try to pick the best one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge tool for crafting something new. I found, obviously, it's fun to perform with a looper.
Yeah.
It's fun that whole practice of, like, I'm going to get this perfect. I'm going to get all my timing down. That can make you a better musician, I think.
Yes.
But when you're actually creating the piece from the get-go, being able to just, like, have some chords playing while you figure out the melody on top of it, or being able to have a bass line playing while you figure out a counter melody, it's so invaluable, I think, to just have that right there, and to be able to write with the looper. So you've dialed in a sound, and I think you have a little loop demo. Do you want to show us how you use the looper?
Yeah. So here's a song I wrote that was actually inspired by the looper and the built-in chorus sound. I remember just, like, having the chorus built in, and that to me was, like, such an inspiring sound already. And then I was like, oh wait, I want to just have that as, like, a repeating ostinato thing underneath, and I want to write, like, a lead line over it. So let's see if I can get a loop going. Using loop are super simple. You just engage the loop, and then when you press this button over here, it lights up red and it flashes. And what blows my mind about this guitar is you don't need to tell it when to start recording. Basically, it picks up on the transients of your playing whenever you first hit that string, or whenever, I guess, the body vibrates, because I discovered that even if you, like, do percussive stuff, it picks up on that too. So it just automatically starts recording, and then you press this circle over here to stop it, which blows my mind every time. So let's see. I can demonstrate that. Here we go. It's flashing red. So yeah, you can just make a little micro song just by yourself.
Yeah, I love the way you ended that too with the fade out at the end.
Oh yeah.
How did you do that?
Oh, so this is so useful. You can control the mix of the loop. Here, let me see if I can get it going again. No, I can't because I erased it.
If I if I do like a really quick chord, so this is arming the looper, and then just once I start playing is when it'll turn solid red. And now it's looping, and I can just turn that way up or way down.
Like how I find that useful is, you can keep on adding parts and stuff, but you don't want it to just be like dominating right from the get-go. So you can like have it be quieter and then play another part and have it build on top of it. I think it's great because you can also, just kind of have like what I did at the end, just have like a song fade out on it or fade in if you want.
It'd be kind of a cool way to start a song,
I think
actually.
like if you guys wanted to add something else, like a filter would be kind of cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing with an app, with an app companion to this technology, there's always room for stuff like firmware updates in the future. There's room for new features to join the party, and this thing that you have could just continue to get better over time. Something else that's really cool, which I don't know if you've messed around with, but if I have a sound with a lot of reverb and I loop it. So right now, this is kind of a reverby sound. If I turn the reverb up while turning the looper down, then it sort of sends the whole thing away.
Whoa, it reminds me of like a cowboy trotting into the sunset.
Yeah, like it's just like fading away into the distance, and it sort of gets again that space thing with the reverb that we were talking about earlier.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we were saying actually earlier that we could use this guitar to like do a sound bath.
Yeah.
You could literally just build a whole ambient soundscape.
Yeah, like earlier you got some feedback going and you were able to actually loop that, which I thought was so cool.
Yeah, I think I cranked the reverb all the way up.
Yeah.
I hit a chord so before the looper is on, I hit a chord, and then while the reverb tail is going, I started looping it, and what we got was that. So now the reverb tail is just looping on the guitar, and you could totally
What I love about delay is that it reminds you when you suck.
We were saying that earlier too. Like delay can be a reminder of the note that I just played, where I was like, "Oh, why did I play that?"
I was on that open string that's like totally out of key.
And then it plays it 4 more times.
I know. We're both at that weird part of a guitarist career where we're like more interested in like sound, like weird sounds, and like the guitar.
Yeah, I mean the whole like design of it all. The thing I love about guitar is that there are so many avenues you can go down.
You can just use it to create soundscapes and like just have it be really emotive. Like to me, that's what is the most exciting thing about the guitar as an instrument. Like you can really get it to sound like so many different things. Like even the string noises, I remember I was like playing with looping those. I know.
With the delays just now, that sounded super cool.
Well, yeah, I looped them and they made like such a really cool textural thing that I then recorded and I, EQ'd it and stuff, and it just like made for such a cool background thing. So for sound design and stuff like this is great as well. Yeah. I know we're getting lost in the sauce, but that's
what the guitar is all about. I mean, the whole thing, since I got one of these and I keep one next to my desk, I keep one in my bedroom, like I find myself constantly picking it up and just finding inspiration even when I didn't know that I had any.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes inspiration, you have to wait for it and then it hits out of nowhere and you're like, oh, I have to go right now and write that thing I just heard. But sometimes I feel totally neutral. I'm not feeling particularly inspired.
Yeah.
And I pick up this guitar and it creates the inspiration.
I think that's a sign of an effective piece of gear or an instrument, like with the thesis being creativity here. I think a good sign is when you pick it up and you like lose track of time and you wanted to put it down like an hour ago, but somehow you just got lost doing stuff with it. And I think that's like what every person wants with their instrument and their creation for musicians, is for them to have that moment where you just like get lost in your flow state.
100%. So I'm realizing that we haven't even talked about the fact that this guitar is also a Bluetooth speaker. Talking about creativity, inspiration, or even just the fact that I keep one of these in my bedroom and sometimes use it just for fun while I'm listening to music. Having a Bluetooth speaker built into your guitar is a game changer. I mean, for backing tracks, for practicing over songs that you already know about, or a song that you're working on, maybe you like bounce it out of the studio and practice to it later, write a new part over it. So I've made this little loop that's just a very basic sort of drum and bass loop, but this is going to play out of the actual guitar itself. So my phone is connected via Bluetooth to the guitar. The volume on my phone just controls the output, and the sound quality I think is really, really solid. So here it is. What? If I turn that down, I can practice over that, I can talk over it, or if I really want to blare it, it gets pretty surprisingly loud.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and the bass response is really great as well. So, I mean, that's a game changer for me, is having that Bluetooth speaker built in.
Honestly, I mean, I know it's not music related, but if you were in a situation where you didn't have a Bluetooth speaker and you wanted to play a movie, you could probably play like Top Gun out of this, you know?
That'd be pretty awesome. When I first got this guitar at the office, I got a prototype of this a while back. And the very first day I had it, I realized that this Bluetooth speaker thing was a thing, that it was capable of that. And I put it in part of the office and I started blaring like heavy metal out of it, like screamo.
Yeah.
And some people walked by and they were like, where is that coming from? And it's out of an acoustic guitar.
That's so funny. I'm already thinking of ways to like prank people who don't know that this guitar has Bluetooth.
Yeah.
You could like hang it up in their house and play like rainforest noises out of it or something and drive them crazy.
This is your white noise machine if you're trying to fall asleep at night.
Hey, totally.
It's already in the room.
Yeah.
So speaking of all these effects, I've seen you actually post some videos online using all of the effects and the looper. And it seems like you're just like sitting outside playing the guitar and maybe propping up your phone or something for those.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes creativity just like the moment is right, the environment feels right, and I just feel inspired to record some things. So there's a couple of times where I've just been sitting on my patio, and I live in the forest, and there's all these like birds chirping, and you can hear the breeze rustling bushes, and I'm just like, what a beautiful environment. And I just propped up my phone and I recorded the chorus and the delay effects coming out of the guitar. And it actually sounded so good that people couldn't believe that it was just like coming out of an acoustic guitar recorded with my iPhone. I had people accuse me of like miming to it or like recording it and then just like dubbing over the audio. And yeah, people also like, it's so cool having people ask what gear are you using to like what reverb is that, what chorus is that, and I just being able to be like, it's actually just the built-in chorus and reverb in the guitar, and I don't have any mics, I'm just using my cell phone.
Right.
So
yeah, people are expecting this whole elaborate signal chain, like what's the signal flow, like what pedals are you going through and what's your mixer and all that stuff, and it's just like, it's just the guitar. Totally.
And like, you know what's cool about those recordings to me, sometimes they just hit harder than like if I were to go in a studio space and just mic everything and have all the effects post, you know, like I think there's something to be said about like sometimes demos, you know, like you record it in a room with all the effects baked in, and you not only capture the sound of the guitar, but you capture the sound of the environment, and there's all this stuff, this extra like ear candy and just texture that is like baked in, you know, air that's baked in. It has a lot more character than if you were to just go, you know, have a mic in a studio. Not to say that that's not good, but sometimes it just like for some reason it feels warmer and like has just like, again, not to overuse the word, but more character.
Yeah, I think both approaches make total sense. Like if you want to go into a studio and record totally dry, like pristine sounding acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
First of all, this does that really well. I have used it for that, where all the effects are totally off. And because it's an all solid wood, well-built Yamaha guitar, it records really well just as an acoustic instrument. But sometimes the sound of adding reverb or chorus or delay in post with the plug-in or something isn't the same as having it come out of the guitar in the moment and putting a mic in front of it. Just the way that it interacts with the space, the way that the guitar even reacts, like the vibrations of the guitar kind of change when you have chorus going on. And it really changes the performance too, I think, the way that you deliver.
Yeah, at home, my whole setup is I've recorded the last 3 acoustic things I made with this exact guitar with the effects on, actually. I enjoy that you can mic and get just like the natural acoustic wood sound out of it. But then I also have, like, I'll have a stereo mic over here, and then I'll have also a room mic. So you capture the sound of all the effects and the reverb resonating in the space. And then that blended together creates for such an interesting, just spatial profile.
Right? Yeah, you're not getting the sound of a delay coming out of a box. You're getting the sound of delay in your room.
Yeah, it's really a great sounding instrument for recording.
Well, Yvette, thank you so much for talking with us. Yes, this was a pleasure. I am really glad that you're as into these guitars as I am. And for the people watching at home, if you would like to learn more about Yamaha TransAcoustic guitars, check out the Yamaha website. And if you would like to try these guitars in person, pay a visit to your local Yamaha dealer. Thank you again, Yvette. What do you say we take it home with some music?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.